there's cues to me. There's cues. There's pressure. There's corrections, and there's like blocks. So there's all different ways to add something. So I don't want them to be afraid of a cue. A cue shouldn't feel like pressure to a horse. So for instance, maybe somebody would use, what does that usually mean to a horse? Canter, right? Has anybody ever seen a horse that they heard this noise and they like have like a reaction to it? You know what I'm talking about? Either on the ground and so their head comes up, they get bracy. And it's usually because that cue was backed up too quickly with pressure of spanking them or doing something. So when I kiss, there shouldn't be any extra energy. It's a cue. They shouldn't be afraid of it. It shouldn't do anything. It's like, you should know we're going to canter now. But that doesn't mean get scared of anything, right? So then, if they don't respond appropriately, which if they don't know it, they're not going to, then I'm going to add a little pressure. Now my energy is going to come up. If I'm riding them, my legs might come on. If I'm on the ground, my stick might come up. I'm now adding pressure to the situation.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So now I want them to feel a little uncomfortable. Not scared, but just I want them to say, okay, start feeling comfortable. Now, if they don't go, now I might add the tap. That would be like the correction. It's like, oh, now you ran into my stick because you didn't move forward into the canter.
Okay.
A block would be they took off into a canter, and I was just sitting here talking to you. Whoa, and my horse took off. It's like, well, now I'm going to pick up a rein and go to a high level of pressure to control them immediately. So that's what I was doing yesterday with Kim's horse. I was tugging on the rope because he started leaving without me doing anything, and I was like, okay, I want to block that. So I had to put an appropriate level of pressure to match how strong he was wanting to leave. And in my mind, I think of those as blocks. And like, even to clarify, like what we did with Keeper yesterday or Enzo, you'd kind of just be standing there and they would just be gone, right? Mm-hmm. All hard. But we tried to hunker down on the rope and block really strong. So the only reason it became a lot of pressure was because of how hard they were leaving. Not because we all of a sudden took off running on them and were pulling on the rope like crazy. So it very much matters who started it. Like when you're kids and you're in the back seat and, don't touch me, you touch me. They touch me first. It's like, your parents are like, it doesn't, everybody behave, it doesn't matter. But in the horse world, it does matter who started it. Did the person scare the horse and put too much pressure on too quickly, skip cues, basically go right to like corrections, or did the horse act like a horse and get bothered and then kind of took off? Because, and I'm pointing this out partially to say that if a horse keeps taking off and doing their own thing, the person was just kind of standing there or not adding a lot of pressure, and the horse goes to leave, and the person just, like, say the horse leaves, and the person goes, hindquarter yield, like, come on, look at me. And they keep doing it as the horse keeps leaving, they're going to teach the horse to wear that pressure. They're going to desensitize them to that cue, because it's a bad time to ask for that. No different than a horse that doesn't want to stand still and the rider's pulling on the reins while the horse continues to walk forward, or they just back them up over and over and over again. It's like, it's a bad time to do that move because the horse is thinking an opposite thought of what you're wanting them to do. So you're better off just blocking that behavior and interrupting that behavior so that you can spend more time practicing what you want to do. Sorry, I got off on a tangent there, but
no, that was helpful though.
There's a big difference though between different types of pressure and how you would do it. So when you're thinking about your intention and cues, you don't want them to be afraid of that at all. You want to make sure there's no fear. And so to do that, all you have to do is space out when you go to add pressure. You don't want to give them a cue and then follow it up with pressure right away, or you're going to startle them. Give them a cue and give them time. 1,000, 2, 1,000. Now pressure could start to come on.
Okay.
But if you go, cue, go, you're going to put that like knee-jerk reaction in there.
Okay.